I see him. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Shit!
Whoa.
Wilderness encounters often carry a deep, unsettling isolation, where the quietest places hide the most disturbing secrets. Today we encounter a strange, unnatural fog, chasing a camper through the woods, and the eerie discovery of long-forgotten human remains. When the environment itself starts turning against you, how far would you go to escape? On that critical day, YouTuber Anthony Vella had been preparing for this moment for a long time. In a video uploaded on April 27, 2024, he stepped into his Paramotor, a personal flying device, and lifted into the air for a brief flight. Everything felt exactly the way he had imagined it would. Then something suddenly changed, and the machine began behaving in ways he could no longer control. The realization came quickly. He was going to crash, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. He hit the ground hard.
Man! 48 miles per hour! Come on, baby! Oh! Hey Siri, call 911! Hey Siri, call 911! Call 911! Emergency!
Lying there in extreme pain, he called 911 and tried to explain what had happened and where he was located.
911 emergency.
Help me, please. I crashed my flying machine.
Okay, where are you at? So, do you know where you're at?
I'm in Enchanted Hills. I'm in the desert.
Okay. Are you in Texas?
Yes. I'm by Abundant Living in the desert, just to the east.
Okay, what was it that you crashed?
A paramotor.
Do you read Los Cruces? Let me get you transferred real quick. Give me 1 second, okay?
Okay, please.
Do not hang up.
He remained there for over an hour while waiting for paramedics to reach the scene. Thankfully, a good Samaritan arrived only a few minutes after the crash and managed to remove the paramotor from on top of him. He was quickly stabilized, but suffered a broken neck, back, and pelvis, along with a shattered right arm. It appears the crash may have been caused by a small tension knot. He failed to notice, which caused the glider to collapse during the flight, once it caught. If the Good Samaritan had not stopped, or had simply slowed down, seen someone lying in a field surrounded by wreckage, and decided it was too dangerous to get any closer, Anthony would have remained there with a broken neck, unable to move, while the paramotor weighed down on him. He would have been left alone in the open field for more than an hour, waiting for help, and that delay could have cost him his life before emergency responders even arrived. Maybe small details matter more than they seem, and sometimes help comes from unexpected places, but what would have happened if nobody had stopped? The fog in the forest begins rolling in fast, and within it, something terrifying slowly starts to take shape. A woman named Dee, creator of the YouTube channel Dee's Dark Adventure, went on a camping trip on January 26, 2024. She traveled deep into the dense forests of Ohio, accompanied only by her 2 loyal dogs, which she allowed to roam freely off-leash. What started as a peaceful escape into nature soon became a disturbing experience that made her question how deep into the wilderness she had gone.
Oh, those rotted. It's all rotten. Gosh.
The first few hours were fairly normal. Keeping up with 2 energetic dogs was not easy. They constantly moved through the woods, driven by instinct, chasing after things she could not even see. Dee tried to keep them close, unaware of the real danger hidden somewhere in the forest. Then, while pushing through thick undergrowth, she heard a strange sound, something so unnatural that it immediately unsettled her.
Nope. See, I don't want to be going back this way either because I'm going to take them right to the swamp. Oh, there's so much fog. That's all fog. Okay, normal forest, right? A little bit of fog, lots of fog. Oh my God, okay girl, stay with me. Hold on. Will you?
It did not sound like anything she had ever heard before. Then another noise followed, even stranger than the first. The dogs clearly sensed something was wrong. They ran deeper into the woods, as if following something unseen. What made the situation even more disturbing was that the area where the sounds were coming from was covered in thick fog, while the rest of the forest remained completely clear. It felt almost as if the forest itself was trying to hide whatever was inside.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Everything's fine. Why? There's no fog. None. But right there, tons of fog. Just in that circle. Look at it.
Trying to stay calm, Dee moved further and speaking out loud to show she meant no harm, but whatever was there did not stop. Suddenly, one of her dogs began moving directly toward the fog. Their instincts seemed to be pulling them in, but Dee stopped them, refusing to let them disappear into the heavy mist. Then the fog itself started moving toward her quickly, almost like something from a horror movie.
I heard it bark, but I don't know if it was a dog or not. It sounded like it barking, like a rah, rah, rah. Girls, stay close. Ma.
Another unsettling sound came from inside it, and then she noticed something moving within the fog, something unnatural.
See, there's something over there, dude. I'm not taking them. Something moving. Dog, can you please for a minute? Come. There's something. Dogs, 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 dogs. Woo! Yeah. Let's go now. We're leaving.
Was it a person, an animal, or something else entirely? She did not stay to find out. Her safety came first. Dee quickly left the area before the situation could become even worse. If there was one thing this camping encounter taught her, it was that being alone in the woods can intensify fear, turning every sound and every shadow into something terrifying. Sometimes the forest feels quiet, but something still feels wrong. And once you notice it, is it already too late? On February 1st, 2025, a man named Andre went on a solo camping trip deep inside a remote wilderness forest. He later uploaded the footage to his YouTube channel, Wild Happiness, where he documents his life in isolated and untouched environments. He frequently spends time in the taiga, traveling and living close to wild animals. This time he traveled far into the forest using a snowmobile. Along the route, he demonstrated his ability to hunt small animals and cook food out in the wild. After reaching his destination, Andre set up his tent by carving space into the snow. He placed a small stove inside to keep warm and began making food and hot tea. As the night grew darker, he lay down to rest and appeared to fall asleep. Then suddenly he heard movement outside. At first the sounds seemed far away, but they slowly moved closer. Soon, soft cries and distant howls could be heard. It quickly became clear that a pack of wolves was moving around his campsite.
Короче, друзья. Блин, я же слышал. Капец, реально волки, друзья. Во-во-во, прям вообще хорошо слышно. Да ну нафиг, я, короче, домой. Пизда.
Andre stepped outside to see what was happening. The moment he realized how close the animals actually were, he immediately went back inside the tent. He decided not to wait until morning. Sometimes in places like this, even the smallest sounds can mean more than they seem, especially when there's nothing else around. What would you do if you suddenly realized you were not alone out there? A viral clip from Mexico captures a chilling moment. It started at a campsite deep in the woods, where a group of friends began feeling an uneasy presence around them, almost as if something was watching. They heard strange noises and slowly started realizing they might not be alone. Around the campsite, they also noticed unusual tracks. Wanting to learn more, one of the friends attached a hunting camera to a drone and sent it into the air to scan the surrounding area. After a few minutes, the operator spotted a very tall figure moving between the trees without any visible light. The footage shows the group gathered together at their campsite, and as the drone lowers, a disturbing silhouette appears in the distance, clearly watching them. It was not one of their friends who had wandered away. In places like this, even small signs can feel much bigger when everything around you is quiet. So what do you think was really out there in the forest? A routine search inside a quiet forest park turned into something far more unsettling than anyone had expected. Footage uploaded on May 9th, 2025 by the YouTube channel Johnny Paranormal has since left viewers questioning what is truly out there. In this particular video, the explorer Johnny was moving through a section of the forest he had visited many times before. He walked slowly, scanning the ground and the surrounding trees the way he always did when checking the park for anything unusual. While moving along the trail, he suddenly stopped. Something on the ground had caught his attention.
How do I touch this being respectful? I don't want to use my foot. That is a skull.
At first glance, it looked like a pale object, partly hidden among the leaves. The explorer stepped a little closer, carefully pointing the camera toward it, while trying to understand what he was seeing. For a brief moment, he hesitated, but then the realization came. The object lying on the ground was a skull. The skull was small and worn, suggesting it had been in the forest for a long time. Moss and dirt surrounded it, blending it into the forest floor so well that someone could have easily walked right past without noticing. What made the discovery even more unsettling was that he had searched this exact area before. In fact, he had walked through this spot multiple times during previous explorations, yet somehow he had never noticed the skull until that moment. That realization seemed to hit him hard. The explorer then looked around the immediate area, scanning the ground and nearby branches for anything else that might offer clues.
So basically, found a body within 2 hours. That's a very old body. So not even body, it's just the head. Rest in peace.
During earlier searches, he had come across ropes or markings in the tree signs that someone may have been in distress at some point. But in this case, there was nothing clearly linking the skull to a specific event. He paused to consider how long the remains may have been there. Based on the condition of the skull, it seemed likely the person had been in the forest for quite some time. He even suggested it might belong to a woman, though there was no way to be certain. For a channel known for exploring strange and eerie locations, this moment stood out for a different reason. There were no mysterious sounds, no paranormal encounters, just the quiet discovery of human remains in a place where someone's story had been completely forgotten. Sometimes the truth is not hidden by anything strange, just missed over time. So how many things like this are still out there waiting to be found? It began with one dog, then another, until suddenly he realized he was completely surrounded. Each step he took only made them move in closer, turning the moment into something he would never forget. In a video posted on March 11th, 2026, the creator behind the YouTube channel, Alexander Campbell, recorded one of his journeys through the mountains of northern Turkey as part of his mission to walk around the world. That day, Alexander was traveling from the city of Niksar, and as he climbed higher into the mountains, he came across a mix of curious animals and isolated settlements. But as night started to fall, strange sounds began echoing through the bushes around him.
Something in those bushes for sure. I've heard some weird noises, like maybe it's pigs. It's gotta be a pig. Can you hear him? I see him. Whoa. Whoa. Oh my god, there's like hundreds of them. That was crazy. There must have been like a good 20 or 30 of them. They all ran away, but I can still hear some of them rustling around.
At first he was not sure what he was hearing, but soon a large group of wild boars suddenly burst out from the forest. It was a shocking moment, but the real danger had not yet appeared. The next day, as Alexander continued walking through remote villages, he encountered something locals in the area often warned travelers about: shepherd dogs. Some wagged their tails, while others simply watched him as he passed.
It looks empty. I take it back, we got 2 doggies coming. They're very cute. Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, you're gorgeous, aren't you? Hello. Hello. Oh, there's even more of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
But eventually, the situation changed sharply when he walked through another village. Without warning, several large dogs began moving toward him aggressively. Within moments, more dogs appeared from different directions until he was surrounded. The animals barked loudly and kept moving closer, forcing him to step back.
Buddy. Help.
For nearly 10 minutes, he remained trapped in place. Every time he tried to move, the dogs rushed forward again. Using his hiking pole, he tried to keep them away, but the animals bit at the pole and attempted to pull it from him.
Help! Help!
The situation became extremely tense as he shouted for help, unsure whether anyone nearby could hear him. Eventually, the shepherd responsible for the dogs arrived. As soon as the shepherd appeared, the entire pack immediately backed away, retreating as if a switch had been turned off and Alexander was finally safe.
Oh man, they just wouldn't leave me alone. And then finally the shepherd came. I was like calling out help. Oh man, it was horrible. I thought I was gone for. Eventually the shepherd came, and as soon as he arrived, they backed off immediately.
Looking back on the experience later, Alexander admitted that the encounter had deeply shaken him. Travelers in these mountains are usually warned about wolves and bears, but for him, the real danger came from animals most people would barely think about. Sometimes the biggest threat is not the one you expect, and it appears when you are already alone, so would you have known what to do in that moment? The next video comes from the Haggard Project, a US-based outdoor channel, centered on solo camping and survival-style trips in remote areas. It is February 19th, 2026, in a rural hillside location in the United States. He arrives during a harsh winter storm. Wind and rain immediately affect the setup. The terrain is exposed with no cover from the elements, and visibility is reduced. He tries to set up a solar-powered night vision camera system, but the conditions interfere. Moisture, wind, and weak signal all affect reliability. With no mobile service and unstable equipment, awareness becomes limited before the night even begins.
If that's on the inside or the outside, but that's a handprint. And the wind is picked up, so I'm gonna have to do emergency recon. Wind is getting really bad up here, so you can see it's knocked over my stuff, so I'm gonna pack it in. I'm just gonna focus on driving out of here.
Conditions keep getting worse as powerful gusts start knocking over gear, forcing him to put safety ahead of monitoring. He moves back from the hillside, leaving the camera system behind, and effectively losing visibility of the area. At that point, he's no longer watching, only reacting. This situation is shaped by a loss of control. The environment limits visibility, disrupts equipment, and reduces awareness step by step. The handprint stands out, but it is not followed or confirmed. Instead, it becomes part of a larger problem, being unable to fully monitor what is happening around you. And in conditions like this, where the weather overrides planning, that lack of visibility becomes the main risk. Sometimes the real problem is not what is out there, but what you can no longer see. So would you stay and risk it or leave before it gets worse? The video comes from A New Life in the Van, a UK-based van life channel that documents travel across Europe with a focus on practical experiences and the everyday realities of life on the road. It is November 25th, 2024 in La Linea near the border with Gibraltar, Spain. The couple finishes their stay at a marina campsite. They complete routine tasks, emptying waste, refilling water, and getting the van ready before moving on. The setting is open and calm with clear visibility and an organized environment. However, their attention turns to the upcoming border crossing.
See that guy that literally just came in front of our car? That happens very often. So don't get scammed by this kind of thing. He'll probably try and tell you that you can't go in. He'll try and give you try and tell you got to pay some money. But you don't have to pay these people anything. They're not official. Just drive straight past. Don't pull your windows down, nothing. Just keep going. We don't need to go through customs. We haven't got anything to declare. So what happens is you go through the Spanish aduana, which is the Spanish customs. You're going into the Gibraltar area. So you're going to show your passport twice. You'll cross through here. And you'll go into the Gibraltar customs area, which will take you out down there, straight down towards Casemates and the centre of Gibraltar,
where unfamiliar procedures create a different kind of uncertainty. They continue toward the crossing. The process is straightforward. Once inside the official area, there are passport checks, controlled entry, and a visible sense of structure. The contrast between unofficial interaction and formal procedure becomes clear. This moment is not about danger. It is about awareness. Nothing escalates and no one is harmed, but the attempt is still present. And when traveling through unfamiliar areas, especially near borders, uncertainty can be used to apply pressure. In this case, the outcome comes down to one simple choice: ignoring it and continuing forward. Sometimes that's all it takes to avoid a situation completely. We appreciate you watching. If these unsettling encounters gave you chills, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next upload. There's always another mystery waiting just around the corner. Sometimes the risk is not obvious, but it appears in small moments like this. So would you recognize it, or would you stop without understanding why? On July 14th, 2025, a solo explorer from Mountain West Productions followed a strange formation discovered on Google Earth into a remote mountainside. The channel documents forgotten locations throughout the American West. Accompanied only by his dog Greta, curiosity gradually shifted into unease.
So, we're at our mark. I'd say this is very likely to be black bear scat. I mean, feel the hair in it? It's pretty thick and knotty. I believe that's what this is. Yeah, definitely black bear scat. We found another really good bone pile. There's actually a claw fragment right in that. You can see that's a claw. The map's taken me northwest, and above this boulder batholith is the disturbed earth and strange structure. I think we got to break through these boulders, hit that ridge, follow the ridge. That should help us a bit on our elevation gain as far as how much elevation gain per foot, per mile. I'm really interested to see who was up here and what sort of stuff's going on up on this ridge line. You leading the way, Greta?
Early in the hike, warning signs began to appear. Fresh animal tracks and scattered remains suggested the area was still active. The silence felt heavy, as if something nearby was observing rather than hiding. The trail continued farther inward.
I smelled... See, I'm downwind. Wind's blowing me that way. And I had a change in smell, like something's dead. I wouldn't be surprised if there's... What is that? See that tree up there? There's a animal carcass somewhere around here. So I noticed it. And it takes a lot for that piney sagebrush smell to get covered up. This looks almost like an old trail. Tell you what, looks like lightning struck this. It really does. This used to be a big tree. How gnarly all this brush looks. But you can see, lightning struck this dead down the center. Because it's burnt from the inside.
A faint odor lingered in the air, impossible to completely ignore. Burned and damaged trees stood nearby, leaving the landscape marked by signs of past destruction. It didn't feel like a place meant for staying long, but the discoveries continued.
See the different mineral bands in there? Right where they cut it too. It's all iron oxide. So, we're getting close to whatever the heck's hiding up here. Oh yeah, plain as day. Look at this. These are old nails. This is very old. Peanuts. Look at this. This was a real deal. Mine up here. Dextron transmission fluid. So this isn't our Google Earth find. I checked Onyx and we're still a few hundred feet away. Look at these nails. They're huge. Wow, it's crazy looking. Yeah, look at this. Right into the rock. Would you say that is a claim marker? Because they core bored that. See how it's a perfect circle? That looks like it's about, oh, I don't know, probably from the 70s. This is the quartz they were after. You see how there's a little oxidization or that rust patina in this? And the little rosy colors?
Old metal debris and mining markers started emerging from the ground. These were not random remains. Someone had worked there intentionally long enough to leave permanent traces behind. Then something unexpected came into view.
What is that? It's like an old cabin. This was a mine. This was like a mountain man's mine. There's stuff all over. Someone was definitely living up here. Look how many different mattresses there are. That's wild. There was some sort of electricity up here. This is really cool though. This is fabric. There's cloth on this table. Wonder if there's anything in this cabinet. It's an actual mirror here. Nothing. See this? There was a jar. But look at the beds. There were at least 3 guys here. See that? See, more quartz. They're mining gold up here. So they drove in here some way, but I lost the trail. I couldn't find a road to get to this. That looks like it's a wagon seat. And you can tell this actually is probably way older, because that's a tiny bed frame. Very tiny. This might be 1920s, 30s. There's a gutter.
Hidden among enormous boulders was an old cabin. Inside were signs of repeated use, not just a single visit. The space felt frozen in time, as though people had left without planning to. The most dangerous area still remained ahead.
So look at this. This was the hut. And there's a mine back in here. It's a tunnel under the freaking boulders. What do you smell? Oh, there's a deer leg in here. Something lives in this one. We're not gonna get in a fight with that. Whatever's bringing deer in here. It's almost all burnt. Smoky quartz. See that? It's black quartz. That is cool. The whole side of this is. They must have been pulling gold out of this. Old metal. Three. Not seeing any cool things. Oh, look at this. So they broke this rock. 4. Oh yeah, there's a labyrinth. That's crazy. Yeah, we'll mark this because I don't know where this is or how to get out. I know this is my tunnel, and I'm not getting lost in a mine. Get out of here.
A mine entrance opened beneath the unstable rock. Inside were signs of recent animal activity and narrow paths extending deeper underground. Greta stopped and refused to go any farther. Recognizing the danger, the explorer decided to turn around and leave the area. The size and condition of the site suggested long-term use, not a forgotten or accidental location. If the place was truly abandoned, why did it still feel occupied? On December 19th, 2025, a ride from High Gear unfolded in the mountains of Italy. The channel focuses on real off-road journeys, unfiltered, unscripted, and often unpredictable. What started as a smooth climb filled with speed and confidence gradually shifted into quieter trails, where the presence of people, history, and boundaries began shaping the ride in unexpected ways.
Okay, it is clean, something. You're moving a whole way. Oh my god! To. Ajde, zdaj gasa, gre. Yeah, man. So we were somewhere there now. Yeah, before I mean. And now we came all the way through the valley and up that hill.
So beautiful. Yes, I can see the seaside. I don't know if you can see it. Yep. Oh my gosh.
The ride opens with motion and momentum. Engines pull hard as the riders climb, lifting their front wheels and riding the slope with ease. The trail feels open, almost welcoming, and the attention stays on balance control and the thrill of moving forward. But the higher they climb, the more the atmosphere changes.
Hello! Wrong way! Wrong way! Ooh, Kvatome. The tunnel. Let's take a look of the tunnel. Shame out. So, here was crazy war for the territory. People were so smart, they were killing each other for some person kill, you know.
In the hills, man.
A lot of innocent soldiers, man. A lot of innocent soldiers been killing each other here for some president motherfucking politics, man. Still they do kill each other, man. Buy a dirt bike and live your life, man. Yeah.
Further up, the group slows near old military tunnels built into the mountainside. The surroundings suddenly feel heavier. The riders acknowledge the history connected to the area, and the pace naturally eases, almost as though the mountain itself demands greater awareness. Not long after, the trail leads them somewhere more personal.
To sva ni panike, to sva dva vsaka enga, po enga mislim. Holy shit! Oh, cesta,
They put this seat so you don't hurt yourself.
Yes, they prepared this for us. Čas greva. Jaz sem v zelo nelagodnem položaju.
Oh.
Akle, Vikar. Midva greva klele gor. A ja, bradi gledal? A ja, ne. Sem mislil.
Ne, tle so rekli, da se vozijo.
Po potkah. Ne vem, če je tu potka. To so take skale, da bolj nas uničujejo kamini.
A ja?
Ja.
Aha. To je privat zemljišče.
Aha.
Možno. Slovensko privat.
Činsko.
A tako. Lep dan.
Yeah.
Near a small residential area, a local woman approaches the riders and speaks with them. Her tone remains controlled, but her frustration is obvious. She explains that the trail crosses private property. The riders listen, exchange a few calm words, and decide to turn back.
No!
The ride continues elsewhere, becoming more technical and physically demanding, ending not with speed but with effort and quiet understanding. Nothing escalates yet. The encounter quietly defines the point where freedom meets responsibility. When adventure reaches land where people live, should momentum give way to the unseen boundaries already drawn there? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.